Hey there, it's Cody with a K, and let me ask you a question. Oh, so yeah, what I wanted to talk about today was the question. I mean, if you're into comics, you may have heard of him. If you're into DC, you've probably heard of him. And if you're really into DC like I am, then you've definitely heard of the question. Here's the first issue of his own series from '97. I picked up the other day. Well, that is a very '90s ad on the back. But the question is the inspiration for Rorschach. I mean, you can kind of tell if you look. They've even both got red hair, and I think Dave Gibbons even kind of drew Rorschach to look like Vic Sage, maybe a little. Vic Sage, Rorschach kind of had like freckles. Whatever, I'm rambling. The thing about the question is, he was amazing in the Justice League Unlimited show, which is my favorite show of all time, honestly. But that's where I like the question. And I didn't want to just talk about the question because of the character. I wanted to talk about the question because of this book. Now, this is the complete question, and this is from Gwandanaland Comics. If you look at this number, this is how many books they published before this one. Well, minus whatever. They published 1,295 other reprints of comics before this one. It seems they take public domain books and they'll reprint them in really pretty high quality, like square binding, and this is a good quality cover, and this paper is really good quality. Like, I'd even call it better than, like, we'll just get issue of Justice League over here. Yeah, the newest issue of Justice League. Like this, the paper in Justice League here is like really thin. Really thin. You can just, if you were to like twist this the wrong way, it would rip immediately. You could feel quality paper. You know what I'm talking about. And it's printed on good quality stuff. Like, this is sterner stuff than your average comic. But what's very odd is that this isn't in comic shops. I know it's not the easiest thing to get your material into a comic book store, but if I found this in my local comic book store, I would have picked this up immediately, because I found this in my local comic book store and I picked it up immediately, despite the fact that it was $4 for an old issue from '97. Whatever. I love the question, and I really wanted to read his stuff. So when I found this on Amazon, I was curious, but I was also just like kind of astounded, because the entry on Amazon looked just like this. It had this pink background, pink like salmon. I don't know. It's kind of orange in real life. Looks different through the phone. Whatever. It had all this, and it said the complete question and all this down here, and then it just had this. So I thought, well, what's the cover? It's not exactly clear, but that's the cover. It looks just like the entry on Amazon. And it had worried me because I couldn't find any reviews on it on Amazon. So I messaged the people at Gwandanaland Comics, because they have a Facebook that they're most active on. In fact, they post there multiple times a day about what kind of collections they've just collected. And they collect a ton. They've got this massive library. If you ask them, they'll send you the Excel file with all the tons and tons of just old public domain comics that they print. And they actually, it seems, they print like based on order, because it says in the back of the book here, 17th of April, 2018. That's when I ordered this. So this is, printing to demand. So this interests me because I think, the comic industry is full of holes right now. if you've ever watched any of Diversity in Comics videos, you know that Marvel isn't in the best shape at the moment. And I'm not talking about the movie division. I'm talking about the comics. They're pretty frequently laughably bad. And then, like, beloved characters like Spider-Man and Iron Man are being written by people who know nothing about them. Or they know a good deal about them, but they don't like the characters for the same reasons the fans do. I guess that's a more fair way of putting it. But with this, you've got comics that you do not find reprinted nearly anywhere else or anywhere else. I've never seen The Question in print. Well, besides like this newer series, I say newer, it's 20 years old now. Besides this series, or like, I don't know, there've been a couple Question series, and I think there was one in the 80s that was pretty popular. But this Steve Ditko stuff. Steve Ditko is a big name. If you don't know what else he did, why are you interested in comics? He essentially created Spider-Man. I know Stan Lee takes all the glory for that, but everyone who knows that that's a Steve Ditko creation. Well, so is The Question. And, I think that's interesting. And if you look at this, yeah, that's Steve Ditko. Like, this is so very Steve Ditko. There's even some, like, Doctor Strange elements in here. Like that smoke and the gas that he draws around him. That's very Doctor Strange, which, if you didn't know, Steve Ditko also created Doctor Strange. That's one I think Stan Lee will readily admit to, because Doctor Strange isn't nearly as profitable. But, oh yeah, look at that. I love Ditko stuff. Oh, there's the front cover. But yeah, this is like all of Ditko's Question, I think. It says The Complete Question. But like that era of comic publishing is just shrouded in mystery to a lot of people, but not to Gwandanaland Comics. These guys know what they're doing, and they publish a lot of this stuff. But it's confusing to me, because it seems like there's something missing. Obviously, it's a very small group. It could even just be one guy. I'm not certain. But, they put on the back, new titles daily, which that's true. Go look at their Facebook. They're constantly putting up new titles. And write for updates, and they have their email address back here. And then it's just, how to search online. And then this description of The Question. However, I will note that Steve Ditko created and illustrated the story of Vic Sage, a crime fight with a strict ethical and moral code who could be ruthless. I don't want to be mean. I really love that I bought this. And I love that those Guan Donnellan guys are doing this. It is needed. This is a part of comics history that needs to be preserved, and those guys are doing it. But I think they're in need of an editor. And maybe like a graphic designer. I don't know if this is just how the printing press they use works. But, this isn't the most appealing cover. If you look at a trade collection of something else, like, this might not be the best example, but it's what I've got here. I got this Jack Kirby Superpowers book. And, very dynamic cover. Jack Kirby's art is going to be dynamic whatever you want. That's old Jack Kirby. But they've got this very distinctive header up here. The title real big and bold with its own special font. And then, on the spine, they've got the title and the publishing logo. And on the back, title, big old image. And then, bunch of description, bunch of writing and stuff. What does this even say? Oh, a good price. Yeah, just some information. There's that, and then you got something like Marvel's Epic Collections, which I love, and I'm reading through like 3 of Thor's. I'm a big Thor fan. This X-Men one, which is like, I think the beginning of Claremont's run on X-Men. It's got all this. This is a reworked cover. I know that much, based on the other Epic Collections. And, Second Genesis, title, big, a header that tells you what it is. It's a standard. And I know that these guys are a very small group, but I just think a little bit can go a long way. And I think having like a big pop out logo, obviously you can't use this one. I bet DC holds like 16 trademarks on this design of this question mark. Obviously you can't use that, but you get a question like font and put it up there big, and you could, like a Gwandanaland Comics logo, and there's nothing on this spine, which I know that seems like a really small spine to put something on, but Action Comics 1000 just came out like 2 weeks ago, right? And they even managed to fit Action Comics 1000, DC Comics on that. And, that's basically just a really dense single issue like this Justice League. So I just think there's a few touches. Maybe they can't print on the spine. That's fine. But I think there are things that can be done to sell way more of these. And I really think that getting some of the bestsellers, not all of their library of, I don't even know what the number's at now. Is it like 5,000 or something like that? Not their entire library in print constantly, but I bet the question is an amazing seller for them because of this character's pedigree. Creator of Spider-Man made this character. He was on the Justice League cartoon. He inspired Rorschach from Watchmen. This character's pedigree is insane. You could, and plus, this is all public domain. So, I don't know. I just think that some work could be done with this to really, really make it a great, on-market product. You could get this in comic book stores and get it to people who really want the question. I know I sound like I'm rambling, but I see a lot of potential here. A lot of potential, because this is great. And, I'd like to see this Guan Donnellan succeed, because the comics industry, it's in a bad place right now because some of the choices Marvel's made. So I'd like to see it go back up. And I think that these guys at Gwandanaland Comics, which you should definitely check them out, I think these guys, they could help the industry recover. And, I'd like to help them do that by, making this video, telling you if you've ever been interested in the question like I have, if you're interested in Watchmen, if you're interested in Spider-Man, check this out. It's kind of got a weird cover and a weird backing, but you'll be glad you own the only real printing I know of, except for the original issues, of the question. I'm certainly glad I own it. But, let me know what you think. There's a lot of potential here. And I want to see this take off. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.